The dim glow of the office lights reflected off the glass walls of Kim Enterprises, casting a soft, muted hue across the vast space. Vine sat at her desk, typing away off the computer, her fingers moving rhythmically over the keys. Her thoughts were elsewhere, thought defeating to the one person who occupied her mind more than she had cared to admit, her boss, Kim Taehyung. Taehyung was known throughout the company as the cold and distant CEO. He was a man of a few words, always focused and never seen with a smile on his face. But Vine had seen glimpses of something softer beneath his hard exterior. She had catch his looking at her more than once with an intensity that made her heart race. Today, however, something felt different. There was a tension in the air that she could not quite place. Her thoughts were interrupted by the ringing of her phone. Miss Vine, the young stiff voice resonated through the receiver, sending a shiver down her spine. Come to my office now. Her heart skipped a beat as she hung up the phone and made her way to his office. The young's office was on the top floor with large windows that offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline. As she approached his door, Ryan took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart before knocking softly. Come in, come the command from the other side. Ryan opened the door and stepped inside, closing it quietly behind her. The Hindu was sitting on his desk, his eyes focused on a document in front of him. He looked up as she entered, his gaze looking onto hers. You called for me, sir? Ryan asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The Hinks leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. Sit down, Ryan. She complied, sitting across from him, feeling the weight of his gaze on her. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity before the Youngs finally spoke. Finally spoke. I have been thinking, he began, his voice calm but lacked with a seriousness that made Ryan's heart race even faster. About my future. Ryan nodded slowly, unsure of where this was going. Your future? Yes, the young said, leaning forward slightly, his eyes never leaving her. And I have come to a decision. He pushed, as if weighing his words carefully, while held her breath, her mind racing with possibility. Was he going to ask her to leave? Was he going to promote her? But nothing could have prepared her for what he said next. I want you to be the mother of my child. Ryan blinked, her breath catching in her throat. Excuse me, you heard me correctly, the young said, his tone firm. I want you to be the mother of my child. Ryan stared at him in disbelief, trying to process what he had just said. But why me? The young's gaze softened ever so slightly. Because you are different, Ryan. You are not like the other women I have met. You are genius, kind, and you have never friend to use me for my wealth or status. You are exactly the kind of woman I want to raise my child. One's mind was spinning. This was the last thing she had accepted. But we are not even in a relationship. How could I possibly? I'm not asking you to be in a relationship with me, the young interrupted, his tone decisive. This would be a business arrangement. You would live with me and you would raise the child together, but nothing more. Winesheart sang at his word. She had always feelings for the Youngs, but she had never imagined their relationship, if she could even call it that, would be reduced to something so cold and transactional. And what if I say no? Ryan asked quietly, her voice trembling slightly. The Youngs experience hardened. I don't want anyone else, Ryan. The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. Ryan looked down at her hands, her mind racing with conflicting thoughts and emotions. On one hand, she had always dreamed of being with the young, but not like this. On the other hand, this could be her only chance to be close to him, to maybe one day melt the ice around his heart. After what felt like an eternity, Ryan finally looked up at the young, her decision made. I will do it, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. The young's expressions did not change, but Ryan could see a flicker of something in his eyes, relief, perhaps graduate, she could not be sure. Good, he said simply, standing up and walking over to her. He reached out gently, lifting her chin with his fingers, so she was forced to look up at him. You won't regret this, Ryan. Ryan nodded, trying to ignore the butterflies in her stomach as his touch lingered on her skin. I hope not. A few weeks passed, and Ryan moved into the young's luxury bathhouse. It was a stark contrast to her modest apartment, but the cold, impressional atmosphere of the place only served to remind her of the nature of their arrangement. Taehyung was kind to her, but there was always a distance between them, an invisible barrier that kept her from getting too close. Taehyung's family, particularly his mother, had been less than welcomed when they learned about the arrangement. His mother had made it clear from the beginning that she did not approve of Ryan. Do you really think she's good enough for our family, Taehyung? His mother had sneered during a family dinner. If she's just a secretary, what could she possibly offer our bloodline? Taehyung had remained silent, his expressions unreadable, but Ryan had felt the sting of the words deeply. She had never felt so out of place, so unwanted. But she had agreed to this arrangement, and she was determined to see it through for the young's sake, for the child's sake. One evening, as Ryan was preparing dinner, the young's mother walked into the kitchen, her eyes cold and filled with disdain. What are you doing here? She snapped. And you think cooking dinner will make you a part of this family? You are nothing but a burden. Ryan bit her lip, forcing herself to remain calm. I'm trying to help. Help, the young's mother scooped. You think you have helping my warming your way into my son's life? You are just using him for his money. That's not true, Ryan said quietly, her voice trembling. I care about him. The young's mother laughed, the sound harsh and grudging. You care about him? Don't make me laugh. You are just a glade digger hoping to secure a comfortable life for yourself by having his child. One's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to let them fall. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I care about him and because he asks me to. The young mother sneered, taking a step closer to Ryan, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. If you really cared about him, you would leave. You would let him find someone who's actually worth of being a part of this family. Ryan's heart shattered at the words, but before she could respond, the Hinks entered the kitchen, his expression as cold as ever. Is there a problem here? He asked, his voice low and dangerous. The young's mother quickly composed herself, turning to face her son with a sweet smile. Of course not, dear. We were just having a little chat. The young's eyes narrowed as he looked between the two women, but he said nothing. Van could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw clenched as he turned and left the room without another word. The days turned into weeks, and Vian's resolve began to crumble. The conscious coldness from the Youngs and the cruelty from this family were taking their toll. She had never felt so alone, so in solitude. One evening, as Vian sat in the living room, staring blankly off the television, the Youngs entered the room and sat down beside her. It was the first time in weeks that he had voluntarily spent time with her outside of the few moments they shared over meals. Ryan, Taehyung began his voice softly than usual. I have been thinking about us. You looked up at me, her heart pounding. What about us? Ryan, Taehyung began his voice softer than usual. I have been thinking about us. Ryan looked up at him, her heart pounding. I have been unfair to you, he admitted, his eyes searching hers. I asked you to do something incredible, difficult, and I have done nothing to make it easier for you. Ryan swallowed hard, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill. The young eye. No, he interrupted, his voice firm but gentle. Let's fi- Let me finish. I have been distant because I am afraid. I am afraid to getting close to you, of letting you in. But I see how hard you are trying, how much you are sacrificing, and I can't ignore that anymore. Wine's heart swelled with emotion, but she remained silent, waiting for him to continue. I want us to try, Wine, he said, his voice almost pleading. Wine breath catching her throat. She had dreams of hearing these words, but now that they were real, she did not know how to respond. She looked into Taehyung's eyes, searching for any sign of doubt, but all she saw was sincerity. I don't care what my family thinks, Taehyung interrupted, her eyes darkening. This is about us, not them. My mother does not see what I see in you, and that's her problem, not ours. Winehar's edge at his word. She had endured so much for him, but now that he was offering her what she had always wanted, the fear of being rejected by his family still gained at her. Taehyung, Fine whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. Are you sure about this? I don't want to be the case of more conflict in your life. The young reached out, gently cupping her face in his hands. You are not the case of any conflict, Ryan. You are the one thing in my life that makes sense right now. I have been a fool to keep you at arm's length, but I am done with that. I want you, Ryan. I want us to be a family. Ryan's tears spilled over as she nodded, unable to find the word of express how much his confusion meant to her. The Youngs pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as she cried against his chest. I will protect you from my family, the Youngs murmured into her ear. I promise. The days that followed were a whirlwind of change. The Youngs made good on his promise, standing by one's side whenever his mother or anyone else in his family tried to belittle her. His newfound protectiveness and affection gave Ryan the strength to endure the cold stars and harsh words, but it also made her fall deeper in love with him. One evening, Ryan was out shopping for baby clothes when the young's phone rang. He answered it, his expression quickly turning serious as he listened to the person on the other end. What do you mean she's missing? The young's voice was sharp, filled with a rare panic that Ryan had never heard before. Find her now. Ryan watched anxiously as the young's ending the call, his face pale and his hand trembling. What's wrong? Ryan asked, her heart racing with fear. Our baby, Taehyung said, her voice tight. She's missing. She was with the nanny, and now she's gone. One felt a cold chill run down her spine. We have to find her. Taehyung nodded, already moving towards the exit. Let's go. They drove to the park where the nanny had last seen their daughter, the entire area buzzing with police officer and search team. Taehyung's face was a mask of fear and determination as he barked order at the search, his depression growing with each passing minute. Vine stayed by his side, her own fear nearly overwhelming her. The thoughts of their little girl out there, scared and alone, made her heart race with panic. Hours passed with no sign of the baby. The sun had long since set, and the air was filled with the sound of frantic voices and flashing lights from the police cars. Vine was walking along the edge of the park, scanning the surrounding area. When she heard a faint cry, she froze, turning to hear it again. Mummy. Vine's heart skipped a beat. She followed the sound, her steps quickening as the cries grew louder. Finally, she reached the edge of the park where the small, overgrown path led into the woods. She plucked into the thicket, pushing through the branches until they saw her Taehyung and her daughter trapped at the bottom of the small ravine, crying for help. Hang on, Vine shouted, her voice shaking with relief. Mommy's coming. She scrambled on the slope, her hands and knees jamming against the rocks as she reached her daughter. The little girl was scared but unharmed, and Vine quickly gathered her into her arms. It's okay, Vine whispered, holding her close. Mummy's got you. But as she began to climb back up the slope, she heard the sound of a car engine revving nearby and looked up just in time to see headlights coming straight towards them. Time seemed to slow as Vine's mind raced. There was no way she could climb out of the revive in time to avoid the car. She looked at her daughter in her arms, her heart pounding with fear. Without thinking, Vine pushed her daughter towards the side, shielding her with her body as the car veered off the road and plummeted into the ravine. She felt the impact as the car crashed into her, the force of the collision sending her flying into the rocks. Pain exploded through her body, and she gasped, struggling to stay conscious at the world around her blood. She could hear voices shouting, people running towards her, but all she could think about was Taehyung. Taehyung, she whispered, her vision fading to black. When Vance woke up, she was in a hospital bed, the sterile smell of antiseptic filling her nose. Her entire body ached, and she winced as she tried to move. Don't move, a feminine voice said gently. Vine turned her head to see Taehyung sitting beside her, his face pale and drawn with worry. Taehyung, Vine creaked, her voice barely above a whisper. Taehyung reached out, taking her hand in his. I'm here, Vine. You are going to be okay. Vine's eyes filled with tears as the memories of the accident come rushing back. The baby, is she okay? She's fine, Taehyung reassured her, his voice thick with emotion. Thanks to you. You saved her, Ryan. You let out of a shaky breath, relief washing over her. I was so scared. I know, Taehyung said softly, his thumb brushing over her necklace. But you were brave. You saved our daughter's life, and I can never thank you enough for that. Fire looked into Taehyung's eyes, seeing a depth of emotion there that she had never seen before. It was more than graduate, it was love. I was so scared I was going to lose you, the young confused, his voice breaking. When I saw you lying there, I thought I had lost you. Ryan squeezed his hand, her heart aching for him. I am still here, Taehyung. I am not going anywhere. Taehyung leaned down, pressing his forehead against her. I love you, Ryan. I love you so much. After this incident, Taehyung's mother realized how wrong she had been. She now understood that Ryan was perfect for Taehyung's and their little baby. Taehyung's mother apolog- apologized to Ryan, and then they all began to live together as one family.